Hello everyone. So today we will take up with theory part of AFS subject of unit 1. Okay. All of you are required to write the points from this today's video lecture in your notebook and submit that in the homework. So all of you take out your notebooks, give the heading theory of AFS unit 1. Okay. And simultaneously take out your study material also wherever required. I'll make you underline the things in the study material. You need to underline that, and main points you have to write in your notebook. So let us start with it. Very first, in unit 1 we have already done in the last lecture till difference between goods and services. In lecture 1 we have already studied what is a service, what are the characteristics of a service, what is the difference between goods and services. Now we take up the last point of theory of chapter 1, that is revenue recognition as per AS9, Accounting Standard 9. Now you all already know what is revenue. Revenue means income, and recognition means when to record, when to really consider it as our income in the books of accounts. So what does AS9 say about that? This is there in your second page of study material, chapter 1. All of you will find this language and you're supposed to write this in your notebook. So all of you write down, revenue means gross inflow of cash. Okay, whatever cash comes in your business, gross inflow of cash, a receivable or other consideration arising in the course of ordinary activities of an enterprise, such as, so whatever cash you receive or it becomes receivable in future due to the sale of goods, rendering of the services, or use of the enterprise resources by others, like you give your building on rent, your resources being used by someone else, the rent what you receive is considered as your gross inflow of cash, that is revenue. So use of enterprise resources by others, which would yield interest to you. If you make investments, you earn interest. If you buy shares of another company, you get dividend. And same way, if you give your any specific skills to other person, then you get royalties. So even these things received by the business are considered as your revenue. Okay, so you need to write this in your notebook, pause the video and write it down. Revenue means gross inflow of cash, receivable or any other consideration, and then directly you can write due to sale of goods, rendering the services, and use of enterprise resources by others yielding interest, dividend and royalties. Now, the performance of services measured by two methods as follows. Means what are we studying? Revenue recognition. How do you record the revenue in your books of accounts? By two different methods. So you can write it in your notebook in simple language that revenue is recognized as per AS9 by two different methods. I repeat, write this in your notebooks. Revenue is recognized, means recorded, in the books of accounts by two different methods as per AS9. Okay, repeat. Revenue is recognized, that is recorded, by two different methods as per AS9. First, completed service contract method, write it in your notebooks. And second, proportionate completion method. Okay, proportionate or percentage completion method we studied in real estate developers also right now, contract costing at the end. So that was percentage completion method. Now in your notebooks, all of you give the heading completed service contract method. So what is this completed service contract method? Understand it. In this method, you record the revenue immediately as the contract is completed. Means normally in this method, the activity is performed in a single act. Okay, the activity is performed in a single act. And as that single act or activity is over, you receive the money or it becomes receivable, you record the revenue in the books of accounts. So all of you see this meaning in your notebooks, in your textbooks, rather study material, you'll find it on second page itself. Revenue is recognized when the service is about to be completed and no significant uncertainty exists about the collection of amount of service charges. This method should be applied, underline, I repeat, underline, when the act to be performed is a single act. This is the main point. And either it is performed or not performed so as to entitle the service provider revenue. Either it is performed means you perform that act, and not performed means many times you may give income to other persons for not performing an act so that your business earns revenue from that. So if you restrict any other person from not doing any act and you pay him the money, then that is also considered as revenue as per completed service contract method. Examples are given. Installation fees at the time of installation. See, all of you would have got this air conditions installed at your home. So what do you find? As soon as that single act of installing the air condition is completed, they charge you some 1500, 2000 rupees for the installation. So when will the service provider record that 1500 or 2000 as income in his books of accounts? As soon as he completes the installation, his activity is over. It's done in a single act. Okay, and you pay him the money, he records it in this book of accounts. And even if it is outstanding, suppose you desire to pay in future, then also he will record it as revenue in the books of accounts and show it as outstanding. So these are completed service contract method. In a single act, the work is done, which I made you underline. Next, insurance agency commission. At the time of commencement of policy and renewal. Here also, what does the agent do? He comes in a single act, he convinces you to buy the policy. You give him the check, you buy the policy, maybe Mediclaim policy, maybe LIC policy, any kind of policy. And then that agent receives commission on the same. So this is again a single act. He doesn't have to visit you again and again for the same. One time he has to visit you, convince you, you buy the policy, he gets the commission, he records it as his revenue in the books of accounts. Next year when you renew the policy again he gets commission. So next year when you renew the policy again in a single act, he receives the commission which he records as revenue in his books of accounts. So here also we follow completed service contract method. Then media commission or advertising agency, like this one. Hoardings you find on the roadside. Okay, so that is advertising. Commercials you find in between the television serials, in between the movies, they all are media commission or advertising agency. When the commercial appears before the public and necessary information is received by the agency. So if you buy any hoarding on the roadside, then when will that hoarding provider record it as a revenue in his book of account? As soon as that hoarding is put and public can view that. So even if you have paid the money, even if you have not paid the money, then he will show it as outstanding in his books of accounts, but he will record the revenue in his books of accounts. So I am dictating you what you are supposed to write in the notebook. All of you must have given that in completed service contract method. Main point you all write down. In this method, the activity is performed in a single act. Only this much you write it in the notebook. In this method, the activity is performed in a single act. And then you write down these three examples. Just write the main headings. Installation fees, insurance agency commission, and media commission or advertising agency. Okay, you all can pause the video and note it down. Next, we take up with proportionate completion method. Give this heading in your notebook. Now, just now what did I tell you in completed service contract method? That activity is performed in a single act. Whereas against that in proportionate completion method, the activity is performed in series of acts. The entire process is not over in one activity or one act, but you perform series of acts. Here you apply proportionate completion method. Like percentage completion method we applied in contract costing, because in single act the contract doesn't get over, it gets over in 3-4 years. So the activity is performed in series of acts which is spread over 3 to 4 years. So we apply percentage completion method. Okay, so this is there in page number 3 of your study material. We'll read it first and then in the notebook I'll make you write it in brief only. Revenue is recognized by the reference to the performance of each act. I told you series of acts are performed. So as you perform one act, some part of revenue you receive, and that part of revenue which you receive you record in the books of accounts. The revenue recognized under this method would be determined on the basis of contract value, associated costs, number of acts, or other suitable basis. So total contract price, suppose spread over 4 years, 1 crore. Now in the first work, if you have done 25% work, you'll record 25% lakhs in the books of accounts on the basis of contract value. Associated cost. Now in the first activity, how much of your cost is involved? If more of your cost is involved, then maybe more than 25% revenue also you can record and charge from the customer in the books of accounts. Number of acts. Suppose the work is to be done in 10 acts. So if you have performed 2 acts in the first phase, then 1/5 of 10, that is 1/5 of 10 is 2, so 1/5 of revenue you'll record in the books of accounts. Or other suitable basis, it can be any other suitable basis. This method can be applied when performance is measured in terms of series of acts performed. I told you one act is not performed, series of acts are performed. Example, tuition fees can be recognized proportionate to the period of instruction. So example, tuition fees over the period of instruction. See, how do we charge you the fees? How are you paying us the fees? First semester's fees, second semester's fees. There also, if you have financial trouble, you pay in installments. So are we charging you the money for first year, second year, third year, 3 years package in lump sum in one time? No. This act is going to be performed, or this 3 years course is to be performed in series of 6 acts. Which 6 acts? First year semester 1 and 2, second year semester 3 and 4, third year semester 5 and 6. So how do we charge you the fees? For 6 activities we charge you separately. First semester, then second, then third, then fourth, and then fifth, and then sixth. In each semester, subjects also differ, efforts also differ. So for each semester, the fees is also different. So this comes under which method? Proportionate completion method. When will we record the fees in our books of accounts? When we perform the first semester's activity, first semester's fees we will record in our books of accounts. Next, construction contracts. Because here, just now I already explained you, the construction is spread over the various years. So here, as the percentage of or proportion of work is done, based on that the revenue is recorded in the books of accounts. Okay. So what you are supposed to write it in your notebook, everyone, write down proportionate completion method heading. Here write down, in this method, all of you write down, I am dictating you, in this method, the activity is performed. I repeat, in this method, the activity is performed. You can pause the video if you are still writing. Okay. In this method, the activity is performed in series of acts. In series of acts. Okay. And then you can write the examples, tuition fees and construction contracts. Now, give the heading in your notebook, fees from development of customized software. So how do you record the revenue? Means the service provider, the person who is making the software for you, how would he record the revenue in his books of accounts? Here the revenue can be recognized as per completed service contract method also, or proportionate completion method also. For example, you would have all heard about this software of Tally. As you buy the software of Tally, it's a customized software, ready-made software, and it can be customized also. If you request as per your requirements, they'll devise or vary the Tally package and give to your organization. You have to give your requirements in the beginning, they'll modify that and they'll give it to you. As they modify and give it to you as per completed service contract method, they do the activity in a single act. They modify the software, they give it to you as per your requirements, they record the revenue in the books of accounts. Simultaneously, there may be softwares which may require continuous help of the service provider, like e-learning. Okay, because constant changes taking place. You can also see when you are learning the video lectures, when you are learning the study from our video lectures, you keep on messaging us that today we cannot see the lecture. It is hanging in between. We are not able to view this lecture. It is showing the charges. So here we require the service of the service provider on continuous basis. So as and when he provides us the service, we pay him some amount for tackling with our problems, and he records that in his books of accounts. So he is not doing in single activity. He is giving us the services in series of acts, and there he applies proportionate completion method. So you note down this entire thing as it is in your notebook. Okay, everything you note down as it is in the notebook from this slide. Fees from development of customized software. Here the revenue can be recognized as per completed service contract method or proportionate completion method. Next, all of you give the heading in your notebook, franchisee fees and market important, because here in some part of franchisee fees we apply completed service contract method, and for some elements of franchisee fees we apply proportionate completion method. So how does it go? All of you make this chart in your notebook. There are 3 elements in that. So first element, all of you write down, write this in your notebook, franchisee fees or franchising fees for supplies of equipments and other tangible assets are recognized on delivery or passing of title. Okay, like here that means as soon as they give you the delivery of equipments, tangible assets, they give you the ownership of that as per completed service contract method, immediately the service provider records the revenue in the books of accounts. For example, you would have seen recently this lenskart.com, several stores has opened in Baroda. Now it is a franchisee store. If you start with this lenskart.com store, then lenskart.com will provide you some equipments to test the number of a particular customer, equipments to make those glasses, equipments to make those frame, equipments to make your spectacles. So they have that standardized equipments which they provide you. Okay, they charge you money for that. Because of that standardized equipments, your process becomes easy. Here they charge you the fees for providing that equipments, one-time equipments, that they record as revenue in the books of accounts by completed service contract method. As they give you the equipment, you pay them the amount, they record the revenue in the books of accounts. One more example can be given to understand this. All these Subway, Burger King, Domino's, Pizza Hut, if you take a franchisee of these people, then they also provide you standardized cooking equipments. Maybe microwave is there and standardized process is there. They charge you franchisee fees for providing those standardized equipment so that quality everywhere remains same. That amount they record as revenue in the books of accounts immediately as they give you those tangible assets and equipments. Next, all of you write down, franchising fees for initial services are recognized as revenue as the services are rendered. Now, initially they may have to give you the service of training. How would you start that franchisee business? They charge you fees for giving that initial services or training. That they record as revenue immediately in the books of accounts. Once they train you people, once they train you how to provide the services to the customer, you pay them the money, they record the revenue in the books of accounts. Okay, for example, Javed Abi, okay, famous hair and beauty salon. So here, initially he will give you the training. What is the standardized process? How you are going to cut the hair of various people? What services you are going to provide? And then you have to train your people again further on your own. He will charge you some amount for giving that training. That he will record as revenue in the books of accounts immediately as you pay that money. So completed service method. Then third one, all of you write down, continuing franchising fees are charged for use of continuing rights or for other services are recognized as revenue as the services are provided or rights are used. Now continuing means the service provider has to provide you continuous services during the year. And as he provides the continuous services during the year, he charges you the money for the same. For example, this Domino's, etc. also. Every day they provide you the dough. Every day they provide you the raw material. Their tempo will come in the morning. So you will sell those things. You'll recover the money from that. Some franchisee fee will go to the service provider. So every day they are going to earn from you. That revenue which they get from series of acts during the year is recognized by proportionate completion method. Here I have given you an example of courier service like In Express, door to door. What they people do, they require the continuous services of such people. Every day the couriers are to be delivered. So whatever amount they receive on daily basis, some part of revenue is paid as franchisee fees. That will be recorded by proportionate completion method. Now, Chapter 2 of Unit 1, Tourism Trends in India. Some important theory elements are there which you are supposed to write it in your notebook. So all of you give the heading in your notebooks, Chapter 2, Tourism Trends in India. This can come for 1 mark in MCQs also, so they are important. Along with the important abbreviations, full forms, etc. will also come across. You'll find this on page 5 of your study material. Meetings, incentives, conventions, and exhibitions. MICE. There's a full form of MICE. Note down this full form in the notebook. MICE stands for what? M stands for meeting. I stands for incentives. C stands for conventions or conferences. Rather, conventions only. Don't write conferences. Conventions and conferences mean same. But in MCQ, they can give you the option of conference also, convention also. You go with convention. And exhibitions. E stands for exhibitions. Don't write events. Okay. So exhibition and events are similar, but in exams, you have to write meetings, incentives, conventions, and exhibitions. Is growing segment of tourism in India. Investment in the MICE infrastructure poses an important opportunity for the country. For example, Vibrant Gujarat. Vibrant Gujarat was an initiative of this MICE. So what is the country doing? They are holding meetings in our country. They give incentive to people from other country to hold meetings in our country. They hold conventions and events and exhibitions in our country. Because of that, tourism will also increase. Hotel services will also increase. They hold events like IPL. Okay. So all these was a part of initiative of MICE. Then page number 6 of your study material, you'll find Swadesh Darshan. Before I take up with Swadesh Darshan, all of you watch this video.
कच्छ का ये रण हिंदुस्तान का तोरण है। चांदनी रात की ये सफेद धरती यूं लगता है जैसे चांद जमीन पर उतर आया है। प्रकृति की कठिनाइयों को दिल पे नहीं लेते कच्छ के लोग, जीवन को सजाते हैं रंगों से, कला से, संगीत के सुरों से। मांडवी का नीला समंदर भी यही है पास में। यहां खुशबू है उत्साह की, उत्सव की, रंगों की, कलाकारी की। खुशबू है गुजरात की। आपने कच्छ नहीं देखा तो कुछ नहीं देखा। कुछ दिन तो गुजारो गुजरात में।
Now, this video all of you would have seen many times, several times in past of Amitabh Bachchan. So this was an initiative of Swadesh Darshan. What is an initiative of Swadesh Darshan? Here, Swadesh Darshan, that is integrated development of tourist circuits on specific themes. Could you see that specific theme of Kutch? Could you see that in this particular video? So that element was started by the government of India to attract the tourism. Okay. Kutch nahi dekha, to kuch nahi dekha. What was that? That was a tourism circuit developed in the Kutch area of Gujarat, and several such initiatives have been developed in Himachal, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and several other parts of the country, Madhya Pradesh also. So this scheme was launched by the Ministry of Tourism on March 9, 2015 for the development theme-based, main point is what underline, theme-based tourist circuits to cater to both mass and niche tourism. Niche means premium. To cater to the premium tourism of the country, they started this Swadesh Darshan. Next, page number 6 of your study material, Prasad. You all write this full form of Prasad also in your notebook. It was the national mission for, what does Prasad stand for? P stands for pilgrimage, R stands for rejuvenation, A stands for and, S stands for spiritual, again A stands for augmentation, and D stands for drive. What is this? Pilgrimage, rejuvenation, and spiritual augmentation drive. Beautification of the pilgrimage sites. So government took this initiative. Normally you have a belief that pilgrimage sites means they are ugly, they are dirty. Okay, but government took the initiative to clean that, to make it very beautiful so that the tourism is attracted in those places also. So this scheme was launched by Ministry of Tourism on March 9, 2015 for the development and beautification of pilgrimage sites to tap the growth of domestic tourists driven by spiritual or religious sentiments. Okay. Then page 6 of study material, you'll find, make it Adarsh Smarak. Make the correction I repeat, make the correction Adarsh, ADARSH, Adarsh Smarak. Now, Adarsh Smarak ASI has identified 100 monuments to be developed as model monuments. These monuments would be provided necessary tourist facilities including Wi-Fi, security, signage, encroachment fees area, interpretation centers, showing short films about the importance of monuments and signboards of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. So one of them is Taj Mahal, that is the Adarsh Smarak in India. And latest in Gujarat, you all must be aware about this Statue of Unity. That is also an example of Adarsh Smarak. So all these monuments have been developed in India as a part of which scheme? Adarsh Smarak. So whatever is the important theory in Unit 1 that has been covered in this particular lecture, you all must have written the important points in the notebook. Okay. Next lecture will take up with theory of Unit 2. That'll be all for this lecture. Bye everyone. Take care. See you in the next lecture.